Welcome to another episode of Just on Points. I'm super excited because we have Randy with us today, who is resistant to participating for a year.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, and the other reason why I'm excited is I'm allowed to wear my ugly Christmas sweater this week, and we just had our first big snowstorm this year, so all good. Today we'll talk all about maps. We will be all over the map, I guess. I think we'll have Melissa kick it off for us today. What do you have?
Today I'm going to talk about a new feature in Google Maps that they're actually going to start introducing a news feed into the Explore tab of Google Maps. I don't know if either of you have used the Explore tab, but when you're in a certain area, your Google Maps app picks up where you are and it can give you recommendations based on where you are, if you're looking for restaurants or gas stations or whatever it is. So if you don't know the place specifically you want to go to, the Explore tab is where you go to find some new places. And this new feature is actually going to incorporate the Google My Business posts that you're allowed to do with your listings. And it adds it to the Explore tab so people can now find your posts much more easily than if they were to find your Google My Business listing and happen to come across it at that point.
It exists today?
Yeah, they just rolled it out, I think 2 weeks ago. So this is a brand new feature. It allows, it's called the community feed because the posts are not just your Google My Business posts. You also have those local guides that we've talked about in the past who are, professional Google My Business providers who add reviews and comments about businesses that they've been to, trying to help be local guides from their area. And you can also follow other Google users. So I could, from my Gmail account, I could follow Randy's Gmail account or your Gmail account, so that the Explore tab and the community feed are going to start feeding in from places that you guys have been to. And you can also follow businesses. So places that I've already been to and I want to keep up to date. If, during the snowstorm, I want to know if a place is open, I could follow their business and I can check the community feed.
Is this the fifth attempt of Google to become a social media place?
Yeah, I think it is. We kind of saw it coming with this whole, professional guide thing, the local guides by Google. So this is kind of like, I kind of saw this coming, but this is just adding in like a new feature for the small businesses to get their posts out there, to, really highlight the Google My Business post feature.
Do you know if they expose some of that stuff to Waze? Because Waze is also a Google company.
I might be able to answer that too in part of the topic that I was going to talk about. But I do believe, and Melissa, you can correct me if I'm wrong if you know better, but Waze Maps is handled separately and the updates separately from the Google My Business and Google Maps updates.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about Waze just yet. In the future, who knows if this really takes off and really becomes a useful feature? They very likely could, but at this point, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like it would make sense for them to combine efforts and integrate. Since for those of you out there who don't know, Waze is owned by Google, which is why we talk about that.
Well, actually, Randy, since you're talking already, why don't you get going? What do you bring us today?
Sure. I wanted to talk about maps in general as it relates to local search engine optimization or SEO. We Points Group, and when we talk to our clients and we work for our clients, we focus on SEO so much so, and we really focus on the information that's on the website and information that's in Google My Business. But more prevalent now are the other map apps that are out there. So Melissa, you asked whether Thomas or I use Google Explore, and my thought was no, because I'm not a Google Maps user. I happen to be a Waze user. And so while Google Maps is by far the most widely used map app out there, Waze is second to them with 30 million active users in the US. And each user spends an average of 7 hours a month using Waze.
Wow.
So with that said, it's often used today as a search engine for local searches, right? You just put in there, just the other day I was meeting somebody in a hotel parking lot to transfer some equipment, and I just put in the hotel name. I didn't have to first look up the hotel and then put the address in Waze. So one of the things that we know drives search engine optimization is consistency of name, address, and phone number information across the web. And so that's why we focus on Google My Business and other directory listings, but more importantly is becoming also the update of that information through Waze, and making sure that the name, address, and phone number is set up in Waze, consistent with the way that it's also listed on those other platforms.
So is there, can you actually, similar to Google My Business, is there a feature in Waze for that?
Yes. Yep.
I was not aware of that.
There is, within the app, you can add information for your business, and there it's called the Waze Map Editor, and it gives you control over the information that you can put in for your business. So similarly to Google My Business, you have to verify your business listing, but yes, you can go in there and update the location information. So that's important for SEO because, once again, it serves as a directory listing. And so it will help with your rankings because it's one more place that you can have your name, address, phone number. They call those citations out there on the web. But also think about user experience, because if somebody can go in there and just quickly let's call Waze a verb like we do Google, Waze your address information, it saves an extra step. And then before we move on from there, I want to talk along the same lines about Apple Maps. Because again, Apple Maps, not as widely used as Google Maps and Waze, but it's third in line with over 23 million users every month. And think about how many people actually have an iPhone. I think the most recent number I saw was 100 million iPhone users in the US. So as with Waze, there's a free self-serve data entry portal where you can go in and update your business at name, address, and phone number information. Serves the same purpose, search engine optimization and also user experience.
So this, we on the technical SEO, I'm not sure actually if it's technical SEO, but on the basic SEO, the three should be on the checklist for everybody, as it is with Google My Business. As Google My Business is on the directory service, as you said, people should make sure that they also update their or check their the accuracy of the addresses in all the maps.
Yep, 100%. It's becoming more and more important out there. And for the Apple update, all you need is an Apple ID, a valid Apple ID for the login information. So if you're not already an Apple user, that's something easy to set up, but it is required. Just like for Google My Business, you need a Gmail account.
Interesting. Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Randy. I'm actually building onto what both of you guys said. I want to talk about the future of maps, where maps will go. And especially Melissa here touched on it, that now you can look for restaurants, and then now they add the social aspects to it. But the future of app, where it goes, is really that maps will become a search engine. Like me, I'm using, I think my status is road warrior in Waze. I use it so excessively. And as Randy was saying, very often, when I'm driving from A to B, I just put in Starbucks, where's the closest Starbucks, which is great. Only 1 minute diversion, it's great. So this will be driven more and more in this direction, that you use actually the map as a search engine. And they will also feed more intelligence and real-time information into the maps. For example, let's say if you go from A to B and you say you want to use the bus, it in the future, they're testing this already, it might actually predict for you how busy a bus will be. So they say that the bus is very crowded, you might want to wait 10 minutes, it will be less. Or which bike sharing location has available bikes. So they're really thinking as maps as something that can provide a lot of really a very high level of satisfaction or user experience.
That's very interesting. I just read that New Jersey Transit has added functionality to their services. So before catching a bus, you can see how full is that bus, especially now because people are more concerned with capacity given the current pandemic. So it's interesting that the local transit authorities have started to implement that. So I think that it's something that could be widely used and utilized on those map apps.
That's right. And then actually they will take that and one step further and actually notify you. So you might be in the morning, you might be at home in the morning, and your map might send you an alert and say, hey, stay at home for another 20 minutes, have a longer breakfast today because your train that you usually take is delayed. Don't bother. And your traffic in 20 minutes is better anyway. And so they're really trying to get very sophisticated, but also what we will see happening in the apps, they will have more sophisticated search criteria. For example, you could say, hey, can you find me a pub in Morristown that has a pool table and just chicken fingers? So they really want to, all the information that Google has anyway, they basically want to tie that more and more into it. Or, I want to buy something. Can you find me the store in a 3-mile radius that has the cheapest deal? Or search pizza places, that are not busy at the moment with certain topics. So it's really incredible. But, or even, one of the examples I saw where what they want to be able to do is, I want to go down to the shore, and as we say in New Jersey, to the shore, we don't go to the beach. And it's going to rain in the afternoon. I want you to shower. So you will be able to say, find me a beach nearby that has a shelter. It's something I wouldn't think of today, that I could do that. The other feature that they will expand on, they're already testing this, and to a certain degree it's already possible. And that is finding places based on pictures. They improved their street scanning, those cars that you see, sometimes, scanning basically all the roads in the world. They expanded the functionality, and they're scanning the houses and storing that. So in the future, you will be able to actually say, I have a picture of a house. Can you tell me where it is? Which is incredible, also scary.
And a little bit creepy, right?
It is very creepy. Well, all of that, if you really, you don't really want to think too critical about it because all is evil. But it's incredible anyway, nevertheless. The next piece, I have two more really clear trends that we will see in maps. One is e-commerce. We see already in ways advertising. You drive from A to B, you see already things popping up. Dunkin' Donuts does a lot. McDonald's, I see a lot of McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts advertising. It's you will see e-commerce functionality where Google wants to, or the maps want to take a piece of the cake of e-commerce, meaning finding good deals as it relates to your location and the map, within the map. What Melissa was alluding to with finding restaurants, you will be able to make reservations in there too. And then also they had actually Amazon now recognizes the importance of maps in the future and the development. So because of all the things we've been talking about, Amazon now also announced a developer kit for maps specifically for the car, because the car will have a much bigger importance in the future as it relates to maps and e-commerce and all the things we've been talking about. And then the last thing, as it relates to maps, is augmented reality. We've talked about that in the past too, augmented reality that allows you to, where companies already provide augmented reality specials or discounts or coupons, where you can take your phone, you point it at let's say a location, and on your phone you have augmented reality coupon show up in real time. you will see that entering maps as well, where maps will be will mark locations where you have augmented reality advertising. And I made that example last time we talked about augmented reality, where you could be in the Adirondacks on Whiteface Mountain on the top, and there could be augmented reality advertising. Nobody sees it who is on top, but if you use your phone and you point it at whatever, the weather station on top of Whiteface, you might see a special from the local sports store, which is, again, creepy, crazy, but
But really cool, really cool too.
So that's it for today. As I promised, we were all over the map. And Randy, was great to have you today. Hopefully not the last time. Hopefully it doesn't take another year to have you. So we'll see.
We'll see. Thanks for having me this time.
Okay. Hope you found it interesting. See you next week. Bye.